I went to the heart of Andalusia in Spain for what turned out to be one of the most unique and best value fine dining experiences I've had in a long time. Join me as I break down each course in this extensive tasting menu and share some unique insights into this hidden gem of a Michelin-starred restaurant. But first, welcome to Tastebud. I'm a sommelier with 20 years of experience dining at the world's finest restaurants. On this channel, I share in-depth reviews of the best fine dining destinations around the globe, all rated using my unique 100-point scoring system. Make sure to subscribe as I have tons of amazing restaurant reviews coming your way. And stick around until the end to see how today's restaurant came out on my scoreboard. Let's head to the heart of Andalusia. This is the city of Sevilla, famous for its flamenco rhythms, orange-scented courtyards, and Moorish architecture. Sevilla is where history and passion collide. It's home to Europe's largest Gothic cathedral, the awe-inspiring Giralda Tower, and the Alcázar of Sevilla, a royal palace that looks like something out of an Andalusian fairy tale. The city pulses with life from the tapas bars of Triana to the grand boulevards lined with palm trees. To me, Sevilla offers a vibrant mix of old-world charm and contemporary culture, and most importantly, it has a vibrant culinary scene. The restaurant of tonight is Abantal, one of the few Michelin-starred restaurants in Sevilla, and in my opinion, the very best of them. I'll get back to why. Nestled just east of Sevilla's historic center, restaurant Abantal sits on a quiet street, only a short walk from the bustling heart of the city. It's a location that feels both discreet and intentional, tucked away from the touristy-heavy zones, yet still within easy reach of some of Sevilla's most iconic landmarks. My journey tonight starts in a taxi from my budget-friendly hotel located in Bormujos, 20 minutes outside the city. The traffic is getting busier as we get closer to the city center, even at midweek nighttime. I arrive in the residential commercial neighborhood known as La Buhaira, well ahead in time of my reservation. I've opted for the first seating as usual, but tonight I won't be sitting in the main dining room. In fact, I've been told this is going to be a very special experience, so I'm excited to see where I'll be seated when I arrive. That is, if I can actually get inside, because finding the entrance to the restaurant isn't easy. Even my Uber driver was confused, and I end up wandering the streets of this interesting neighborhood for a while. Eventually, I spot number 7, the right address, but there's no doorbell, no sign, no hint of a restaurant. I cross to the other side of the street, and then, with perfect Spanish timing, just a few minutes after opening, the wall of the commercial building suddenly lights up with the name Abantal. A woman appears as if from nowhere and reveals a hidden door. Finally, the experience can begin. I step inside and am greeted by my server for the evening, Almondine. She leads me into the main dining room, an intimate space with just 10 tables. The atmosphere strikes a perfect balance, formal but relaxed at the same time. I really like it. But wait, I'm not being seated here, am I? Now I'm starting to wonder, where exactly is my table? Well, I just have to wait and see, because right now there is one thing that is more important than food. I am super thirsty after strolling the streets of this neighborhood, so let's get this experience started with a glass of bubbly. And as a sommelier, I'm more interested in trying new wines, so I opt for a glass of cava instead of champagne. And what a treat the sommelier presented me with. This is a Brut Nature traditional method sparkling made of 60% Xarello and 40% Chardonnay by the female winemaker Julio Fernández. The grape varieties are vinified separately, and after the second fermentation it has at least 36 months of aging. The result is a fresh and lively cava with notes of white fruit, citric touches, pastries, and a balsamic finish. A really pleasant start, and with that, it was time to move to my table for tonight. Almondine tells me to follow her through a pathway next to the bar. What's behind that door? Wow, directly into the kitchen. Greeted by the chefs, up a small step and into a second kitchen. This place looks organized. And check it out, there's my table for tonight. Talk about center stage, love it. As I'm seated, I'm presented with the menu for tonight. The Grand Daily Chef's Tasting Menu features just under 20 servings, divided into 4 snacks, 9 main courses, 3 desserts, and 3 petit fours. And if you're someone who worries that fine dining means tiny portions, think again. The amount of hearty, generous servings on the savory side here is phenomenal. Just wait and see. And if you're curious about how much all of this costs, stay with me until the end. I'll reveal the prices. In my opinion, this restaurant offers incredible value for what you get. When it comes to beverages, I go with my usual choice: the standard wine pairing. Tonight's pairing consists of 6 different wines, and I'm excited to see what the sommelier has curated to match the menu. With that, it's time for the first serving. 4 snacks are being brought to the table.
I'm starting by the leaf, which is an oyster leaf with seagrass and chive emulsion.
Yeah.
Second in the spoon is a cannelloni of dry shay wine filled with potato, apple, and cod roe. Then in the glass you have a beetroot cod soup with dry tuna fish. And the triangle to finish is foie gras with yuzu gel, peanut berries, and sponge cake with our homemade dressing as well.
A really nice combination of flavors for this snack serving. Fresh, vibrant, and elegant flavors, and I like the contrasting textures. I continued enjoying my cava with these snacks, which complemented the flavor profile well. A good start to the meal. Before moving over to the first main course, I'm presented with the bread basket that had plenty of interesting options. So many, in fact, that I asked the waiter to pick one for me.
Plain with curry and honey, with chorizo, with chive, with sunflower.
I'm advised to keep the bread on the side as we move through the main courses. And of course, I can restock whenever I want. This tells me there are some rich sauces or hearty soups coming up later, and I'm excited to see what's in store. Before the first main course, the first glass of the wine pairing is poured, and right away, this is a perfect example why I almost always choose the standard wine pairing. You're often introduced to local wines or hidden gems, bottles and cuvées you might never have discovered otherwise. And tonight's first pour is no exception. This is a sherry produced by Bodegas del Rio, a small family-run winery in Sanlúcar de Barrameda, not far from Sevilla. This manzanilla is aged under floor for around 3 years to capture the salty Atlantic essence of its coastal terroir. Fresh and briny, it opens with aromas of lemon, green apple, and sea breeze, followed by subtle notes of toasted almonds and spice, a true taste of southern Spain. The dish complementing this wine, or is it the other way around, is a salad made of carrots, fennel, and pumpkin.
So the cuisine of Abantal is based on traditional Andalusian cuisine, but adding a modern touch and also using the best product of this region. So here with the first course you have the perfect example with our Andalusian refreshing salad. You will find on the top of the plate a carrot juice with spice. On the bottom of the plate a fennel juice. All around you have some cherry tomato, some cured bullet tuna, seaweed, and coriander gel.
This feels like a quiet whisper of the Andalusian orchard. The sweetness of the carrot and pumpkin meets the supple anise leaf of fennel. Light and elegant, and while I didn't quite fall off the chair, there is really nothing to complain about on this one. An honest and authentic first main course. The manzanilla sherry follows me over to the next course, which was completely fine with me as I really enjoyed the wine in itself, and it paired well with the salad. However, it turned out to not pair equally well with the next course. Let's see what Almondine is bringing to the table.
So here we have a dish around the oyster. At the base, raw oyster with a light oyster mayonnaise, oyster leaf, a plantain emulsion, and on the top, crispy skin of the codfish.
This is like being pulled straight to the Andalusian coast. The oyster is briny and fresh, its mineral salinity gently amplified by the marine intensity of the micro seaweed. The shot of crispy cod skin elevates the dish with a salty, rich, and satisfying crunch. I really like this oyster serving. Pure ocean elegance, while I still enjoy the sherry by itself, I thought it felt slightly overpowering the delicate and tender flavors of the oyster. But who cares at this point, because Almondine is already back with the next wine in the pairing.
So for the second one, you are moving to extreme north of Spain in Galicia with this Refugallo from the Ribeira Sacra. Vintage is 2021. For the grape, mostly Godello with a bit of Albarino and Doña Blanca.
Crafted by Dominio do Bibai, a cutting-edge winery in Galicia's mountainous Ribera Sacra region, this white blend of Godello, Albarino, and Doña Blanca is barrel fermented for texture and depth. There's vibrant citrus and orchard fruit on the nose, with layers of minerality and a creamy, refined finish that speaks to both innovation and terroir. The next course is being brought to the table. Here we have sea bass, silky and perfectly cooked skin on. It's served with a fish broth, sitting in a broth with a hit of orange, bright, citrusy, almost floral, dancing with the umami depth of the fish stock. The cauliflower puree in the bottom brings softness and roundness to the plate, making this a beautifully layered dish with surprising complexity. This was also an exceptional wine pairing. The orange, citrusy tones complementing each other, and the wine freshened up the palate from the rich puree. Great match, and I'm happy to see that the wine follows me over to the next course, which is one of the chef's signature courses. But speaking of the chef, who is the culinary mind behind this restaurant? Well, allow me to introduce you to Julio Fernández Quintero.
Ensalada ostra, lubina, carabi, los dos en tripa, cigala, ravioli, presa, carrillera, picantón, jengibre, mango, manzana, dos en la uno, grande.
Julio is a Sevillian native through and through. Trained at the prestigious La Consola Hospitality School in Malaga, he's made it his mission to express Andalusian identity through modern fine dining. Abantal earned its first Michelin star in 2008, and impressively, it's held onto it ever since. But what really sets Julio apart is his approach to flavor. He's not trying to copy the Nordic school or mimic French precision. Instead, he brings the soul of Andalusia to the plate. Deep flavors, powerful sauces, ingredients rooted in the local terroir, but all filtered through the lens of contemporary hot cuisine. His cooking respects tradition but isn't shackled by it. You'll find bold contrast, thoughtful reinterpretations of classic Spanish dishes, and a willingness to push just far enough outside the box while keeping flavor front and center. At Abantal, you're not just eating in Sevilla, you're tasting it. Its coastline, its fields, its markets, and yes, its passion. In the restaurant, Chef Julio has full control over the kitchen while also taking time to interact with the guests. A highly skilled, experienced, humble, and friendly guy with a huge heart for his restaurant and what he's doing. And speaking of which, here is one of Julio's definitive signature courses: the large red prawn, sauteed quinoa, and tomato.
So this is one of the most emblematic dish of the restaurant. We have it almost since the opening, which was 20 years ago.
Wow.
The large red prawn, carabinero in Spanish. It is served on a sauteed quinoa with prawn alioli and tomatoes.
It's called large red prawn for a reason. This one is huge, and it's a textural playground. The prawn is plump and sweet, seared just enough to retain its natural juiciness. Paired with sauteed quinoa, nutty, toasty, and full of bite, it's brought together by a concentrated tomato element that ties the sea and soil into one vivid, umami-forward mouthful. Pure Mediterranean soul, I absolutely love this one. The refrigallo blanco also pairs really well with this dish. A great match once again. And speaking of wine, the next glass in the wine pairing is being brought to the table.
The next wine will accompany only one course here, Oscar Tobio Reserva Blanco. So this is a white wine from Rioja. We have a more creamy white wine with more aroma of grapefruit, a little bit of honey. Okay.
I love this winemaker, but honestly, I mostly tasted his reds, so this Blanco Reserva was an interesting surprise. On the nose, it offers clean, fragrant, and intense aromas of quince, honey, ripe pineapple, and citric fruits, assembled with smoky aromas of cinnamon and white chocolate from the barrel aging. On the palate, it is fresh, mellow, creamy, voluminous, and round with a great acidity. I'm excited to see what course it will pair with, but fortunately, I don't have to wait long because here we have a good old friend from my home turf.
Norway lobster, also called Dublin prawn. It is served on a stew of rabbit with paprika with paprika that make the transition in the menu from the fish and shellfish you had before to the meat at the spot.
What a fun take on surf and turf. It actually reminds me of my recent visit to the one Michelin-starred restaurant Pelagos in Athens, Greece, where I was being served rabbit and lobster. Make sure to check out that video when it drops soon, because their take was equally awesome but very different from this one. Abantal's version with the langoustine offered delicate and concentrated flavors, and I really enjoyed the pairing with the Rioja Blanc. I felt there was a missing maybe some contrast and texture in the dish itself, but it's a minor note as this is top quality produced perfectly executed. Up next we have something completely different, both in the glass and on the plate. With this serving we are moving over to the first red wine of the night. This is Chateau Saint-Roch Chimeras, a Roussillon Village. Made by Jean-Marc Lafarge, one of the leading winemakers in southern France, this blend of Grenache, Carignan, and Syrah from all wines showcases the rugged beauty of Roussillon. Rich and generous, it bursts with black sherry, garlic, herbs, and warm spices, supported by velvety tannins and a lingering savory finish. The course to match is duck ravioli with celeriac, and since I was visiting the restaurant during Sevilla's wintertime, this is a dish with serious wintry depth. The ravioli are soft and yielding, packed with rich duck confit that melts into the sauce. The celeriac adds a gentle earthiness, just enough to offset the fattiness of the duck. Comfort food elevated, just as I like it. At this point, I was admittingly getting a bit full, so to stretch my legs and move around, I decided to join the chefs in the kitchen for the preparation of the next course. I love to watch the different stations and chefs working together in perfect harmony like this. Here, they are preparing beef cheeks, aubergine, walnuts, and a smoky sauce for what is a refined take on brasserie-style food.
This is the beef shoulder served on mushroom cream with, on the top left, a cannelloni of grilled eggplant, to the right, dry walnut sponge cake, and the sauce is the beef juice, lightly smoked.
I love it when fine dining restaurants dare to take on rustic servings like this. The beef is unctuous and tender, the aubergine adds that smoky, silky element, almost melting into the sauce, and the walnuts offers texture and a supple bitterness, and the smoked sauce ties it all together in a way that's robust and hauntingly flavorful. It's a powerful dish that demands a powerful wine, and unfortunately, the Roussillon struggles a bit here. It's not the worst match though, and choosing a wine to pair with two different courses is always a challenge. Tempo is high at this point, and we continue our journey in the wine world with another glass of red wine. This one is from Bodegas Arrozal, a family estate in Ribera del Duero committed to single parcel expressions. This particular Tempranillo comes from a 1985 vineyard rooted in clay limestone soils. It's a powerful yet elegant red with notes of blackberry, plum, cocoa, and a touch of herbs built on structured tannins. With such a wine, it's only fair that the next course brings on some intense flavors.
So we have here a dish inspired on traditional Sevillan tapas, which is the Iberian pork cheek in Pedro Jimenez sauce. Normally this dish is presented as a stew, but we have changed all the texture here. The Pedro Jimenez sauce is prepared as a béarnaise all around, and the potato of the stew as a form in the center.
What a fun dish! The Iberian cheek is rich and gelatinous inside, but shatteringly crisp on the outside. The Pedro Jimenez reduction is sticky, sweet, with notes of raisin and fig. This dish tastes like Sevilla at golden hour, warm and indulgent. The Iberian pork is also presented in the next dish, here in the form of a sauce made with stock of Iberian ham. It comes with spring chicken coquelette and pig trotters. This is one of the more daring combinations. The delicate flavor of the young chicken is deepened by the richness of the pig's trotters. It's gelatinous, bold, and incredibly flavorful. And with that, I'm done with the main courses. Thankfully, because I'm honestly quite full at this point. And luckily, we are transitioning over to the sweet side of the menu with a light and fresh first dessert. This is passion fruit sorbet with ginger soup and yogurt. This was a much needed reset. The passion fruit sorbet is sharp and tropical, like a burst of sun, but then comes the ginger soup, warming and slightly spicy, followed by the mellow tang of yogurt to round it off. A smart palate cleanser that actually excites instead of just cooling things down. The wine chosen to accompany the three desserts is a Moscatel from the Olavidium winery. A tribute to Andalusian tradition, this sun-dried Moscatel is produced in Montilla, Moriles, a historic wine region known for fortified wines. Intensely aromatic with notes of orange, blossom, honey, and candied apricot. It's lush and sweet, yet lifted by fresh acidity and a beautifully floral finish. It paired surprisingly well with both the passion fruit sorbet as well as the next dessert, which is an almond cake soup served with lime basil ice cream and mango foam. Here, textures collide in the best way. The almond cake soup is warm and velvety, the lime basil ice cream adds freshness and herbaceous lift, and the mango foam brings sweetness and tropical perfume. Playful, nostalgic, and just a little over the top, and I mean that as a compliment. I really like this one. The pastry chef doesn't stop here. From the back end of the kitchen, she has one more playful sweet course coming in. And what a fun presentation this is. Here we have apple, lemon, and polvoron. This is a tribute to Spanish pastry tradition. Polvoron, a crumbly almond shortbread typically served around Christmas, is reimagined here with a tart apple, zesty lemon, and a modern finesse. A sweet finale with a nod to heritage, tying the menu back to its roots. I'm more than satisfied now, but as Steve Jobs would have put it, there is one more thing.
The chocolate is filled with pumpkin, pineapple macaron, and the cookies with chocolate, thyme, and citrus.
And just like that, my dinner at Abantal comes to an end. Now it's time to reveal how much I paid for this extensive dining experience, and to share my final verdict rated across the 4 categories of the Tastebud scale. But before we dive into the details, I just want to take a moment to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up and subscribe. Your support helps me continue bringing you these unique insights into the world's best chefs and restaurants. Thank you so much. Now, it's time for the rating. Let's start with the first category, design and atmosphere. I really like this place. They managed to balance the formality of fine dining with a laid-back and friendly vibe. The option to be seated inside the kitchen is also a huge plus. It adds something truly special to the experience. 7 out of 10 points in this category. Then, the service category. Based on my experience being taken care of by Almondine through the entire evening, it's impossible not to give full marks here. Attentive, professional, and genuinely friendly service from start to finish. 20 out of 20 points. Next up, the wine category. Most of the pairings work very well, and I really appreciated the selection of local and lesser known wines, exactly what I hope to find in a wine pairing. That said, not every pairing was a perfect match, which is always a challenge when one wine needs to work across multiple courses. Still, when you factor in the price, only $60 for the full pairing is exceptional value. 16 out of 20 points for this category. Last but not least, we have the food category. Counting for half of the total score, this is obviously the most important category. And to be honest, tonight, this was a bit tricky to rate. First of all, this is truly a grand menu. It's even in the name, and the sheer amount of food is massive. The portions are generous, and the quality of the ingredients is top-notch. It's not often you find a single tasting menu featuring separate courses with duck, chicken, pork, beef, langoustine, prawn, sea bass, and more. Add rich sauces and purees to the mix, and you're looking at a really hearty meal. There's also a huge variety in styles, from more rustic dishes leaning toward refined bistro food to exceptional creative fine dining plates. All in all, it was a wonderful experience, and I truly enjoyed my visit to Abantal. That said, when I return, I might opt for the shorter menu option just to better pace the experience. And of course, price must be taken into account here. At the time of my visit, the Grand Chef's menu was priced at only $130, which is remarkably lower than comparable Michelin-starred restaurants. Incredible value. I rate 42 out of 50 points for the food category. In total, Restaurant Abantal scored 86 points, landing it comfortably inside my very good restaurant tier. Well done, Julio and the entire team at Abantal. And if you're curious how this Spanish restaurant compares to a 1 Michelin-starred Norwegian restaurant, check out this video next. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to see you in the next.